The feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is heating up as their trial date approaches. But even in the middle of all this drama, there have been some downright hilarious and absurd moments that you can't ignore. And these 9 moments we've gathered will have you laughing so hard it hurts. Rumors, facts, and wild theories have been swirling about what really went down between Blake and Justin on the set of It Ends With Us. And you're about to dive into one of the craziest ones yet.
I was a huge Britney Spears fan in high school. What adolescent boy wasn't?
And guess what? Blake Lively showed up to the premiere wearing Britney Spears' actual dress. Yes, the exact one Britney wore back in 2002.
Britney's actual dress.
It's her actual dress.
Yes.
Oh
I know,
my God,
it's like,
just in time for the bio.
it should be in the Smithsonian or the Met.
I know,
but
how
it's
do you
on me. It's so lucky.
Blake Lively stunned everyone by wearing a dress Britney Spears famously wore back in 2002, and she even gave Britney a shout-out in the film's end credits. What makes this even funnier is that Justin Baldoni was a huge Britney fan in high school. When Britney first wore that dress, Justin was 18, right at the age when he was obsessed with her. Coincidence? Maybe not. Blake's decision to wear that specific dress for the premiere says a lot. It fuels the theories that she might have feelings for Justin. Celebrities put a lot of thought into their outfits, especially for big events like premieres, so Blake definitely knew what she was doing. Or it's just one wild coincidence. To make things even more dramatic, Blake insisted Justin not see her at the premiere, which forced him to stay in the basement. Was this a sneaky way to make sure Justin saw photos of her in Britney's dress later, reminding him of his teenage crush? As this feud unfolds, some of Blake's past interviews have resurfaced, and they're beyond cringy. It's almost unbelievable how much she revealed about her intentions, even before she landed her role in It Ends With Us.
I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fulfill.
It's absolutely hilarious how Blake has dropped so many revealing statements in interviews, and now they're being used against her. She once admitted that she pretends to be an actress just to hide her true motive, taking creative control to feel fulfilled. Talk about next-level comedy! Blake practically handed Justin the most crucial piece of evidence to win the trial herself. It's like she opened and closed the case for him. But it doesn't stop there. She also confessed that she turns into a difficult person when she wants something, which explains why she gave Justin such a hard time. The irony is just too good.
There are moments, it's just as important to say, okay, I believe in this and that's why I'm standing up for it and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the asshole in the room? Like, what is happening here?
Blake realizing she's often the problem in the room is downright laughable. Justin's evidence against her is minimal compared to the bombshells Blake has publicly dropped, without even trying that hard. It's almost like she's been handing out receipts for free.
I think it's about being upfront about like knowing what you actually need versus just like trying to get the job and then, you know, once you're in it, sort of revealing the scope of your sort of needs to be, you know, fulfilled.
If Justin had just done a little background research on Blake and dug up these interviews, this whole mess might never have ended up in court. But here we are. By now, everyone knows Ryan Reynolds tried to be clever by portraying Justin Baldoni as nice pool in Deadpool. What's even funnier, though, are the Easter eggs Ryan and Blake planted in the movie, thinking they'd come off as geniuses once people figured them out. One of the most absurd things they did was have nice pool executed in front of a flower shop. Why is that wild? Because the flower shop is a huge part of It Ends With Us, where they constantly terrorized Justin. They didn't stop at harassing him on set. They even had Lady Pool, voiced by Blake, take Justin down in front of the same flower shop. But it gets even crazier when you realize the flower shop is named Little Sage. Rumor has it Blake accused Justin of saging on set, a practice used to cleanse negative energy. Naming the shop Little Sage was clearly an inside joke Blake and Ryan thought was clever, but it backfired when people found it tasteless. The ridiculousness doesn't end there. At the end credits of It Ends With Us, Blake gives a special thanks to Gordon Reynolds. Sound familiar? In Deadpool, Gordon Reynolds is credited as Nice Pool. Since Gordon has no connection to It Ends With Us, it's baffling why Blake thought it'd be funny to thank him, especially in Justin's movie. Their attempt at a witty joke fell completely flat. And let's not forget how much hate Ryan seems to have for the Nacepool character. It's almost shocking how far they went to connect these dots, only to end up looking silly in the process.
I fucking hate Nacepool. Worse than Deadpool does.
It's not just Justin's hairstyle Ryan Reynolds copied for Nacepool. He even used prosthetics to mimic Justin's nose. This is the same nose Blake mocked, suggesting Justin should get plastic surgery. The drama around It Ends With Us started with Blake Lively's bizarre costumes. When photos of her outfits leaked during filming, people couldn't stop laughing. They were hideous and didn't match Lily Bloom's character at all. What's even crazier? Blake chose her own outfits, which is shocking considering her reputation for stunning Met Gala looks. She refused to work with a costume designer, tossing aside all the carefully selected outfits they'd prepared. Instead, she raided her own closet, Ryan Reynolds, and even Bella Hadid's wardrobe. Blake blew a staggering $430,000 of the film's budget on her character's wardrobe alone, and the outfits were still ugly. From a Valentino tote she carried throughout the film to Chloe's boots and crystal mesh Saint Laurent boots, Blake's choices were way too extravagant for Lily, a florist who fell in love with a homeless boy. She even wore Christian Louboutin heels and an Isabelle Marant shirt, completely misrepresenting Lily's character. The disconnect between Blake and Lily's wardrobe is outrageous. It's clear Blake didn't take the role seriously. Even more ridiculous, Blake didn't bother to read the novel the film is based on. Lily's character would have shopped for thrifted or vintage pieces, not the high-end designer items Blake wore. This whole mess shows Blake treated the role like a joke. But the drama doesn't stop there. People noticed striking similarities between Justin Baldoni and Penn Badgley, Blake's ex before Ryan Reynolds. The resemblance is uncanny, fueling speculation that Blake was drawn to Justin because he's her type. Side-by-side photos of Justin and Penn are almost identical, making the rumors about Blake falling for Justin on set seem even more plausible. The twist? Justin's 2 a.m. voicemail to Blake sounds eerily like Joe Goldberg, the character Penn plays in You, but Blake didn't stop there. She compared herself to Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, calling Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift her dragons. It's hilarious because Blake clearly didn't watch the show to the end, or she'd know how Khaleesi's story turned out.
I can totally picture Blake in the Game of Thrones world, right? Can't you?
As a dragon?
Yeah, maybe like you kind of have Mother of Dragon hair going in a good way.
Oh.
It's absolutely wild that Blake fully embraced the Khaleesi narrative, even naming her dragons and using them to threaten Justin Baldoni. Despite most of the cast siding with Blake and joining her on the press tour, some of their interview moments have been downright awkward. The cast's facial expressions whenever Blake spoke were priceless. It's clear they weren't entirely on board with her antics.
In the movie, she's not doing me. She's bringing herself to the role as a young Lily. And I think that there's a key difference in that because, like, if she would have come in and tried to do me, it would have been like a Saturday Night Live situation.
Isabella was asked a question, but Blake jumped in to answer instead, and it was painfully obvious the young cast was exhausted. The funniest part? Blake was too self-absorbed to notice her co-star's body language. Earlier, we talked about how people dug up Blake's old interviews, where she left some very negative impressions, especially on interviewers. But when she's not awkwardly congratulating a non-pregnant host on their bump, she's trying to get them drunk, even though she doesn't drink herself. It's a whole mess of cringe.
Magnus,
Yes.
when I saw you earlier, you said, "Oh, let me get a shot." And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin, who's owned by a very, very sexy man, who also happens to be my husband.
Showing up to an interview to secretly promote her husband's martini without the interviewer's knowledge is just the tip of the iceberg. This resurfaced Blake interview is packed with absurdity. She even pressured the host to drink, despite it being way too early in the day for alcohol. It's another layer of cringe in this never-ending drama.
We're starting early.
Yeah, we are starting. What better time to start?
Cheers.
Cheers. How does the taste test happen?
It is good.
Oh, your voice went higher an octave. Come on, just shoot it. Just shoot.
When the uncomfortable interviewer mentioned he'd heard she doesn't drink, Blake launched into another one of her long-winded stories. The problem? The interviewer wasn't amused, and it showed. The awkwardness was next level.
I hear you don't drink, right?
I don't drink, no. This is coffee. But it's
So-
in a martini glass. Isn't that classy? Actually, I don't even like coffee. But I drink it because I love the way they crush the beans and they talk about it and the story of the, the origin of them and, the milk and the foaming it and all of that.
The press tour for A Simple Favor turned into exactly what Blake wanted, but it's now one of the interviews that keeps exposing her true self. And it gets worse. When others aren't digging up her past unpleasantness, Blake is admitting to the accusations herself. It's like she can't help but spill the tea.
What really happened is we were like, we're going to show the movie, and the studio was like, no, you're going to show 20 minutes. So we're like, no, we're going to show the movie. And they're like, it's not done. And I was like, they don't fucking care.
At the time, the audience found Blake's statement hilarious. Little did they know she had booted Justin as the director and ignored Sony's directives. It's also laughable how she kept doubling down without a care in the world. The best part? Blake never imagined her bold, arrogant statements would come back to haunt her. The irony is too good.
But yeah, there were other people too that I had to call and beg. People that said no. I don't know what that means. So if somebody has a dictionary, I would love to find the definition of that. It's so confusing to me.
It was bold and downright shocking for Blake to hijack an entire movie from the director and then openly brag about it. The level of tone deafness is mind-blowing. What's even crazier? When Ryan Reynolds started promoting It Ends With Us, he included his friend Hugh Jackman and even his mom, but completely left out Justin Baldoni. The promotion began innocently enough, with Ryan asking Brandon about his relationship with his wife on set. But things quickly took a wild turn as the conversation devolved into talks about meth and how Ryan coped with his father's loss. It was a bizarre shift that left everyone scratching their heads.
Know that Ryan lost his father in 2015?
I'm sorry, and living with Ryan must have been incredibly hard for him.
Bro.
This line and so many others from that promo had zero connection to It Ends With Us or Deadpool. It's beyond ridiculous. The randomness of it all just adds to the absurdity of this entire situation.